him my father, I just used to call him Earl because that's what he wanted to be called. My family was very chaotic. He beat me and my siblings and my mother right in front of us. So my mother decided to make a decision because the boys was getting older, and she said that I better get out of this house with the two youngest kids, which was me and my sister, and took us to the Salvation Army. And I'm gonna tell you how my life has come full circle. In the process of going to the Salvation Army, I didn't never want to go home after school because I knew that Earl would be there, looking to beat somebody for anything. So I wanted to stay at school and play every sport that I could. I took to football, and it turned into a passion for me. So when my mother took me and my sister to the Salvation Army, I said to myself, Mom, what am I gonna do about football? She said, Travis, if you was good there, you're gonna be good here. Now I'm gonna speak about my mother because she's a powerful example in my life. After going off and playing football, I got a scholarship to Southwestern Tech in Asheville, North Carolina, and then I went on to play in Montana State for the Grizzlies. During that process, my demons began to catch up with me to the point that I was asked to leave school. And the hardest phone call that I ever had to make was to call and tell my mother that, Mom, they asked me to leave. And I reached for that telephone, and it seemed like it weighed a ton because I was so shamed and embarrassed. In the process of leaving school, I didn't want to return to North Carolina, so I went to Brooklyn, New York. And while going there, I was looking for that same camaraderie that I had on the football field out in the streets of New York. And I became a part of the worst peer pressure ever because I just wanted to be accepted again. In that process, I made some of the most terrible decisions in my life that I still pay for from some time in some shape, form, or fashion. I went on to be a narcotics dealer and a gun runner, destroying the fabric of society and the inner city communities. During the period of incarceration, I worked as a GED helper in the classroom, helping guys get their GEDs. There was a wonderful lady there that told me, said, Travis, this place isn't for you. I want you to make me a promise that you will go back to school and finish your degree. I followed her decision, and she gave me a list of names and contacts. And in that process, I went back to school. I got my degree in social science and human services. I got my KSAC certification for chemical addictions and substance abuse counseling certification. And then I also went on to complete my CPS certification with Child Protective Services for maltreatment and the neglect of children. Me, myself, I like working with problem youth. And in that process, it gives me a part of redemption that I thought I would never be able to obtain again. Mm-hmm. But then when I moved to Michigan, my mother said, Travis, what are you doing in New York? And I said, Mom, you know, mothers have an intuition that we would never know about, but she knew that I was backsliding a little bit. And she wanted me to make a decision to go somewhere, go anywhere now that you're finished with school, just leave Brooklyn, New York, because I feel for you. And in that process, I ended up in the state of Michigan. While being here, I became homeless in the process of making bad decisions in my living situations. So my mother said, humble yourself, Travis. I want you to pack your things, and I want you to go to the Salvation Army. My life is coming full circle now. With my pride, she said, no, I'm not talking about picking up the phone and calling somebody to pick you up either. I want you to go straight to the Salvation Army and tell them that you are homeless. And my pride just kept getting in the way. But I always was a person to listen to my mother. So I did what she asked me to do. And the Salvation Army sent me to Mel Trotter. And in the process of me being at Mel Trotter, I said to myself when I got there, you know, I don't know if I want to become a monk. You know? So, because it turned out to be a wonderful decision for myself because it laid the foundation for me to have a wonderful and beautiful life that I have today. And by dealing with the advocates and the wonderful staff they have there at Mel Trotter, it allowed me to complete a 180 program in the restoration program for me to deal with issues that plagued me and kept my life spiraling backwards. in the process of doing that and completing that program, it gave me my dignity back. It allowed me to walk with my head up. It allowed me to work with kids again in the youth shelter. I have to thank Miss Regina for that, and Erica. And in that process, Gary was a big part of it because he gave me so much love. You just don't understand. I never thought I could have a relationship with a man like this right here. But I now see that it's possible. He's so wonderful, and he gave me true unconditional love, you know? So now I'm at the place in my life where I'm coaching football again. You know, I'm able to coach football.
His team's in the playoffs.
Yeah, we made the playoffs, so let me just say that. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic over to my friend Gary. Thank you so much.
I'm not sure what to say after that. I'm glad you at least got us to laugh a little bit, because one of the things that happened when I met Travis was I started to laugh again. I had a situation in my life where I went to Mel Trotter basically to pay a penance, I figured. You know, I'd done some things and said, well, I better go try and make things right. And there's a whole great God story and how I didn't just decide to go to volunteer at Mel Trotter. I had to volunteer at Mel Trotter because so many things lined up in place and kind of got pushed into that. But early on in there, I met Travis, as I said, and what a joy he has been in my life. I said, you know, just to laugh again. In fact, when I met Travis, at that time I was volunteering a couple nights a week. I think I was going in on Thursdays and Fridays. And I went in on a Thursday and met Travis, came back Friday, came back Saturday, came back Sunday, because we were having such a great time.
Yes, we
were
was.
just having a great time. One of our other friends, David, is sitting up here, who also graduated from the program. And David, wave your arm, man, because David's another one of my heroes. Yeah, absolutely. And David, Travis, and I would just sit around and, you know, talk to the young men that were coming in there, and how Travis was able to connect with these young men. Absolutely amazing. Just able to speak into their lives and stuff, and it was just awesome. So for me, I went thinking, well, you know what, I got to give back. I got to, you know, do my penance. And it wasn't about that at all. It was about what I needed. And Travis provided a big part of that, and David was a part of that, and so many of the staff at Mel Trotter. There's so many wonderful people there. Just absolutely has been a blessing to be there and to be a part of that. And my life would not be what it is today, and I would not be where I'm at today if it wasn't for, you know, Christ working in my life, and then Christ working through the men that are around me. It's just a wonderful, absolutely wonderful thing. In fact, I'll close this right now by just saying this, that I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I was scared to go down and volunteer at Mel Trotter because I was scared I was going to meet an ex-convict, a drug runner, a drug dealer. What else have you done? But you know what? I am so glad that I met Travis, and I tell you what, Travis has done nothing worse in his life than I've done myself. And if it wasn't for the grace of Jesus Christ,
Yes, Jesus.
neither one of us would be standing up here.
Yes.
So I hope you guys enjoyed it.